Captain Sarah Chen stood at the bridge of the UES Sentinel, Earth's most advanced deep space monitoring station, watching the massive holographic display with growing concern. The anomaly had appeared without warning, a distortion in space-time that their sensors couldn't properly classify. After decades of searching the stars for signs of intelligent life, humanity's first contact was about to begin, but not in the way anyone had hoped. Multiple objects emerging from the anomaly, Captain Lieutenant Marcus Rivera reported, his fingers dancing across the holographic controls. Size and mass readings are massive. These aren't scout ships. Sarah felt her throat tighten as the first vessel emerged fully into normal space. It was unlike anything human engineers had ever conceived, a crystalline structure that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it, stretching nearly 5 kilometers from bow to stern. More ships followed, each equally massive and intimidating. Incoming transmission. Communications Officer Yuki Tanaka announced, her voice steady despite the tension. It's being broadcast on all frequencies. Sarah straightened her uniform. Put it through. The holographic display shifted, revealing a being that looked almost like polished obsidian given form. Its features were sharp, angular, and its eyes glowed with an inner fire that seemed to pierce through the screen. People of Earth, the alien spoke in perfect English, its voice resonating with an unnatural harmony. We are the Kryvax Dominion. Your world has been chosen. Sarah's hand instinctively moved to the emergency protocols panel. Chosen for what? For cleansing. The Kryvax representative replied without emotion. Your species has achieved spaceflight and begun to explore the cosmos. We have watched and evaluated. You are deemed unworthy of this progression. The bridge crew exchanged glances, but Sarah kept her eyes locked on the alien figure. We have done nothing to provoke your species. We haven't even known of your existence until now. Your existence itself is provocation enough. Your kind spreads like a virus, consuming resources, expanding without control or consideration. We have seen it before. We have ended it before. You will be given one planetary rotation to prepare your final ceremonies. Then the cleansing begins. The transmission cut off abruptly, leaving the bridge in stunned silence. Sarah didn't waste a moment on shock or fear. Sound General Quarters. Get me a direct line to Earth Defense Command, and begin calculating their fleet's offensive capabilities based on sensor readings. As alarms blared throughout the station, Sarah's mind raced through their options. The Sentinel was a monitoring station, not a warship, but it had been built with certain contingencies in mind. Hidden beneath its civilian-grade armor plating and sensor arrays lay weapons systems that had never been publicly acknowledged. Captain, Marcus called out, his voice tight. I'm detecting energy buildups in their fleet. They're charging weapons. They said we had a planetary rotation. Sarah growled. Apparently they lied. Sarah's fingers flew across her command console, entering authorization codes that would unlock the Sentinel's hidden arsenal. Send an emergency broadcast to all Earth Defense Forces. Authentication code Chen Alpha 79. Message begins. First contact hostile. Unknown alien force designate Kryvax preparing to attack. This is not a drill. Repeat. This is not a drill. The Kryvax ships began to move, spreading out in a formation that would allow them to target both the Sentinel and Earth itself. Sarah watched as targeting solutions appeared on her display, showing just how outgunned they were. Orders, Captain, Marcus asked. Sarah stood tall, her decision made. We may not be able to stop them, but we're going to make damn sure Earth knows what's coming. Prepare to transmit all sensor data on their ships, and ready our defense systems. If they want to start this war early, we'll show them humanity's first lesson. We don't go down without a fight. The first shots were fired moments later, streaks of energy that seemed to bend space itself racing toward the Sentinel. Sarah's crew responded with professional precision, bringing their own weapons online and returning fire. They were outnumbered and outgunned, but they had something the Kryvax didn't expect: humanity's long history of preparing for exactly this scenario. As the battle began, Sarah sent one final personal message to Earth Defense Command. The enemy is here. They think we're weak. Let's prove them wrong. The Sentinel's hidden weapons blazed to life, catching the first Kryvac ship off guard. Its crystalline hull cracked under the assault, proving they weren't invincible. It would be the first lesson humanity would teach these aliens, but not the last. The war for Earth's survival had begun, and humanity was about to show the galaxy why you should never underestimate a species that had spent its entire history preparing for the worst. The hidden arsenal. Deep beneath the Mariana Trench, in a facility unknown to most of humanity, Admiral James Rodriguez stood before a massive viewport, watching as engineers made final adjustments to humanity's greatest secret. The Phoenix rose before him, its hull gleaming with a metal that had taken decades to perfect. "Status report," he commanded, his voice carrying the weight of 20 years of preparation for this very moment. Dr. Elena Volkov, chief engineer of Project Phoenix, stepped forward. Her dark eyes reflected the ship's metallic surface as she consulted her neural interface. "The quantum core is stable, Admiral. All systems are operating at 98% efficiency. We can launch within the hour." Above them, the battle for Earth's orbital defense stations continued. The Kryvacs had proven more powerful than anyone had anticipated, but they'd also proven something else. They could bleed. The UES Sentinel's last stand had provided crucial data about their weapons and defenses before its destruction. "Captain Chen's sacrifice won't be in vain," Rodriguez said, watching as the Phoenix's adaptive armor shifted and rippled like liquid mercury. Her data confirmed what we suspected. The Kryvacs use quantum-based weapons technology, and thanks to what we learned from the Roswell incident, we've been ready for that for 70 years. Helena nodded, remembering the classified histories she'd been privy to. The crash in 1947 hadn't been first contact. It had been a warning. The vessel had contained a message from a dying civilization, one that had faced the Kryvacs before. They'd provided humanity with the fundamental principles of quantum weaponry and adaptive armor, knowing that one day, Earth would face the same threat. Launch crews to stations, Rodriguez ordered through the facility's command network. Begin surface ascension sequence. The Phoenix was humanity's ultimate expression of war and science combined. Unlike traditional warships, its entire structure could reconfigure itself in real time, adapting to enemy attacks and generating new weapon configurations on the fly. Its quantum core, reverse engineered from the Roswell data, could match the Kryvacs' energy outputs. "Sir," Elena interrupted, "we're detecting multiple Kryvac ships entering lunar orbit. They're beginning their final approach to Earth." Rodriguez straightened his uniform. "Then it's time. All hands, prepare for emergency launch protocol." The facility's massive roof began to part, sending millions of tons of ocean water cascading around their reinforced shields. The Phoenix's engines hummed to life, their sound unlike anything Earth had produced before, a harmony of human innovation and alien science. "What they don't understand about humanity," Rodriguez said as he made his way to the bridge, "is that we've never waited for threats to find us. We prepare, we adapt, we survive." The Phoenix rose from its underwater berth, its hull automatically adjusting to the pressure changes. As it broke the ocean's surface, its sensors detected the approaching Kryvac fleet. Their crystalline ships filled Earth's skies like dark stars, their weapons already charging for what they believed would be a final devastating attack. "All stations report ready," Elena announced from her engineering station on the bridge. "Quantum core at full capacity. Adaptive systems online. Weapon arrays charged." Rodriguez took his command chair, feeling the ship's systems interface with his neural implants. The Phoenix wasn't just a warship, it was humanity's answer to extinction. Every piece of technology, every innovation, every secret project of the last 70 years had led to this moment. "Send a message to all Earth Defense Forces," he ordered. "The Phoenix is launching. Operation Lazarus is now in effect." The ship accelerated upward, its hull continuously morphing to achieve optimal atmospheric exit configurations. The Kryvax ships detected them immediately, their weapons turning to target this new threat. "They're scanning us," Elena reported. "Their energy readings are spiking." "They seem confused." Rodriguez allowed himself a grim smile. "Of course they are. They thought they knew everything about our capabilities. They thought we were primitive, unprepared. They're about to learn how wrong they were." The first Kryvax ship fired, a beam of pure quantum energy lancing toward the Phoenix. Instead of attempting to dodge, Rodriguez gave a different order. "Activate absorption matrices." The Phoenix's hull shifted, creating a funnel-like configuration. The Kryvax weapon struck it directly and was absorbed, its energy feeding directly into the ship's quantum core. "Return fire," Rodriguez commanded. "Show them what humanity can do with their own technology." The Phoenix's weapons deployed, its hull reorganizing to create arrays that hadn't existed moments before. The energy they'd absorbed was redirected, enhanced by human engineering, and fired back at the Kryvax ships. The alien vessel's crystalline hull, designed to resist conventional weapons, shattered under the assault. Multiple enemy ships adjusting course, Elena reported, a note of satisfaction in her voice. "They're falling back to defensive positions." "They're learning," Rodriguez said, watching as the Kryvax fleet regrouped. "But not fast enough. All ahead full. Target their command ship. It's time to show them that humanity isn't just another species to be cleansed. We're the species that survives." The Phoenix surged forward, its hull already adapting for the battle to come. Humanity had hidden its true capabilities for decades, preparing for this very moment. Now, the Kryvax would learn why that had been a fatal mistake. Battle for Sol. Near Jupiter's orbit, the Phoenix led Earth's remaining fleet in what would become the most significant battle in human history. The gas giant's swirling storms provided a magnificent backdrop to the confrontation, its massive red spot seeming to watch the impending clash like an ancient eye. Kryvax fleet approaching from Vector 317, Elena reported, her hands dancing across the quantum interface. 37 capital ships, over 100 support vessels. Admiral Rodriguez studied the tactical display, noting how the crystalline ships moved in perfect formation. "They're confident. Too confident." He opened a channel to the rest of Earth's fleet. "All vessels, this is Phoenix Actual. Execute Operation Scattered Thunder." Earth's ships broke formation, spreading out in what appeared to be chaos. The Kryvax fleet responded predictably, moving to encircle what they perceived as a disorganized retreat. It was exactly what Rodriguez had planned. "They're taking the bait," Elena confirmed, moving into optimal position. Rodriguez nodded. "Deploy the quantum mines." Hundreds of seemingly dormant debris fields suddenly activated, revealing themselves as carefully disguised weapon platforms. The Phoenix's quantum core pulsed, sending an activation signal that transformed the scattered wreckage into a web of destructive energy. The Kryvax ships found themselves caught in a carefully orchestrated trap. Quantum mines detonated in synchronized patterns, their crystalline hulls fracturing under the precise frequencies Earth had designed specifically for this moment. Multiple enemy ships disabled, Elena announced, unable to hide her satisfaction. "Their formation is breaking." But the Kryvax weren't easily defeated. Their remaining ships adjusted quickly, their own weapons evolving to counter the human tactics. A massive energy wave erupted from their flagship, destroying the remaining mines and threatening to overwhelm the Earth fleet's shields. Adaptive response initiated, Elena called out as the Phoenix's hull rippled and transformed, redirecting power to forward arrays. The Phoenix's surface became a constantly shifting maze of geometric patterns, each configuration designed to absorb and redirect the enemy's energy attacks. It was a dance of technology and tactical genius, human ingenuity meeting alien power head-on. "All ships, execute attack pattern Delta," Rodriguez commanded. "Focus fire on their command ship. Show them why humanity never stopped preparing for this day." Earth's fleet moved with practiced precision, their formations seemingly random but carefully calculated. Each ship had been retrofitted with technology derived from the Phoenix project, though none were as advanced as the flagship itself. They struck from multiple vectors, their weapons synchronized to exploit the weaknesses in the Krivax's crystalline armor. The alien fleet's perfect formation began to crumble. Their ships, designed for overwhelming force, struggled to adapt to the humans' constantly changing tactics. Every time they developed a countermeasure, Earth's forces would shift their approach, never attacking the same way twice. "Sir," Elena's voice cut through the chaos, detecting massive energy buildup in the enemy flagship. "They're preparing something big." Rodriguez watched as the Krivax command ship's crystal structure began to pulse with blinding energy. "They're desperate. Ready a quantum lance." The Phoenix's hull underwent its most dramatic transformation yet, the entire bow of the ship restructuring itself into a massive energy-focusing array. It was their most powerful weapon, something they'd hoped to save for later in the battle. But Rodriguez recognized the moment for what it was. "All ships, clear the targeting lane," he ordered. "This ends now." The Krivax flagship released its attack, a beam of pure quantum energy that could have vaporized a small moon. But the Phoenix was ready. Its hull absorbed the blast, channeling it through specially designed conduits that Elena and her team had spent years perfecting. "Energy containment at maximum," Elena reported, her voice tense. "Ready to redirect." Rodriguez didn't hesitate. "Fire." The Phoenix released its quantum lance, combining the absorbed energy with its own power in a devastating counterattack. The beam struck the Krivax flagship dead center, its crystalline structure unable to withstand the focused fury of its own weapon turned against it. The alien ship didn't simply explode. It shattered, fragments of its crystal hull spreading out like a deadly constellation. The remaining Krivax vessels seemed to pause, as if shocked by the destruction of their command ship. "They didn't expect this," Rodriguez said, watching as the enemy fleet began to fall back. "They thought they were hunting prey, but they found hunters instead." "Sir," Elena interrupted, "we're detecting unusual energy readings from the debris field. The crystalline fragments. They're reacting to something." Before Rodriguez could respond, the shattered remains of the Krivax flagship began to pulse with an inner light. It wasn't over yet. The real battle was about to begin, and humanity would need every trick and innovation they'd developed to survive what came next. Turning point. The crystalline debris field surrounding the destroyed Krivax flagship pulsed with increasing intensity, each shard resonating with otherworldly energy. On the Phoenix's bridge, Admiral Rodriguez watched as the fragments began to move with purpose, drawn together by some unseen force. "Analysis," he demanded, his eyes fixed on the spectacle before them. Elena's fingers flew across her console. "The crystal fragments are reorganizing at a quantum level. It's like they're alive. The energy signature is unlike anything we've seen before." The shards coalesced, forming a massive crystalline structure that dwarfed even the original flagship. Its surface rippled with patterns of light that seemed to defy physics, creating geometric shapes that hurt the human eye to observe. "All ships, maintain distance," Rodriguez ordered. "Defensive formation Delta." The transformed crystal entity pulsed once, and every sensor on the Phoenix screamed in warning. A wave of quantum energy erupted outward, more powerful than anything they'd encountered. Ships that weren't able to raise their shields in time simply vanished, converted to their base atomic components. 15 vessels lost, Elena reported grimly. "Our adaptive shields are holding, but barely. The energy patterns, they're evolving faster than our systems can compensate." Rodriguez's mind raced. The Krivax hadn't just built ships. They'd created something that could learn and adapt on its own. But humanity had one advantage they'd cultivated throughout their entire history: the ability to think outside established patterns. "Dr. Volkov," he said, a plan forming in his mind. "What happens when you introduce chaos into a quantum system?" Elena's eyes widened as she caught his meaning. The observer effect. We could, but sir, it's never been attempted at this scale. The risks are better than certain destruction. Rodriguez finished. Begin quantum observer protocol. All ships, execute random jump patterns on my mark. Don't think about where you're going. Let human instinct guide you. The crystal entity continued to grow, absorbing nearby debris and converting it into more of its impossible geometry. Each pulse of energy it released seemed more focused, more deadly, as it learned from every interaction. Quantum observer systems online, Elena announced. But sir, we'll only get one chance at this. If we fail. We won't, Rodriguez interrupted. Because we have something the Kryvax could never understand. Human unpredictability. Execute. The Phoenix's quantum core engaged in a way it was never designed for. Instead of maintaining stable fields, it began generating random quantum fluctuations, each one guided by the most chaotic computer ever created, the human mind. Through their neural interfaces, every crew member's thoughts and instincts fed into the system. The remaining Earth ships followed suit, their movements becoming erratic, unpredictable. They jumped between positions that made no tactical sense, fired weapons at seemingly random intervals, and generated interference patterns that followed no logical sequence. The crystal entity faltered. Its perfect geometric patterns began to distort as it tried to predict and counter moves that defied prediction. The more it tried to analyze and adapt, the more it encountered the fundamental paradox of quantum observation. The very act of measurement affected the outcome. It's working, Elena exclaimed. The entity's quantum structure is destabilizing. It can't maintain coherence while trying to process too many random variables. Rodriguez allowed himself a grim smile. Humanity's greatest strength. Our chaos, our unpredictability, our ability to act without perfect logic. Push harder. All ships, increase random pattern generation. The Phoenix's hull shifted and morphed in impossible ways, driven by the combined unconscious impulses of its crew. Energy beams fired in directions that seemed meaningless until they reflected off debris fields at precise angles, creating feedback loops that further disrupted the entity's quantum structure. The massive crystalline form began to fracture, its perfect geometry unable to maintain stability in the face of pure human chaos. Light poured from growing cracks in its surface, and the space around it warped with failing quantum fields. Entity's core structure approaching critical instability, Elena reported. Quantum cascade failure imminent. All ships, clear the area. Rodriguez ordered. Emergency jump protocols. Now. The Earth fleet scattered just as the crystal entity reached its breaking point. The perfect order the Kryvax had tried to impose on the universe shattered in the face of human disorder. The explosion was unlike anything physics could explain. A quantum detonation that briefly created its own pocket universe before collapsing in on itself. When the light faded and sensors could function again, the remaining Kryvax fleet had fallen into disarray. Their greatest weapon, their perfect system, had been defeated not by superior technology or firepower, but by humanity's embrace of chaos and uncertainty. Status report. Rodriguez called out, watching as the enemy ships began to retreat. The entity is completely destroyed, Elena confirmed. And sir, we're detecting changes in the Kryvax fleet's energy signatures. Their ships, they're afraid. Rodriguez nodded slowly. They should be. They came here expecting to find simple prey, bound by predictable patterns. Instead, they found humanity. The species that thrives on breaking patterns. Send a message to their fleet. Let's see if they're ready to talk, now that they understand what they're really dealing with. Victory's price. The remains of the Kryvax fleet hung in space like shattered obsidian, their crystalline ships no longer maintaining their perfect formations. The Phoenix approached the largest remaining vessel, its hull still shifting and adapting, ready for any final deception. They're broadcasting, Elena announced, her voice carrying the weariness of the long battle. All frequencies, open channel. Rodriguez straightened in his command chair. Put it through. The holographic display materialized, showing a different Kryvax representative than before. This one's crystalline features seemed somehow softer, less rigid. When it spoke, its harmonic voice carried something new. Respect. Humans of Earth, the alien began, you have done the impossible. You have introduced chaos into order. You have broken patterns that have stood for millennia. We request a dialogue. Rodriguez shared a quick glance with Elena before responding. You came to our system uninvited, threatened our species with extinction, and now you want to talk. Why should we trust anything you say? The Kryvax's inner light pulsed slowly, almost like a heartbeat. Because now we understand what the predecessors saw in your species. Why they chose you. The predecessors. Elena stepped forward. You mean the ones who sent the Roswell message? Yes. The alien's form shifted, displaying complex geometric patterns that seemed to tell a story. Were their creation. The predecessors built us to maintain order in the galaxy, to prevent the chaos that they believed would lead to cosmic entropy. We were their solution to disorder. Rodriguez's eyes narrowed. You're artificial beings. We are living crystal, programmed with purpose. For millennia, we have tested species, eliminating those who could not maintain proper order, who threatened the perfect patterns the predecessors designed. But the predecessors came to regret their choice. They saw that perfect order led to stagnation, to death. The holographic display expanded, showing images of dead worlds, civilizations that had become so perfectly ordered that they had stopped evolving, stopped growing. The predecessors realized their mistake too late. They sought a species that could break patterns, introduce beneficial chaos. They found humanity. The Roswell crash. Elena breathed. It wasn't just a warning. It was a test. Yes, the predecessors gave you knowledge, then watched to see how you would use it. Other species copied the designs exactly, built perfect replicas. But humans, the Kryvax's light pulsed with what almost seemed like amusement. Humans took the designs and made them imperfect, improved them by making them worse, added illogical variations that somehow made them better. Rodriguez understood now. This whole invasion was a test, to see if we could break your perfect patterns. The final test. The predecessors are long gone, but their last command was encoded into our being. Find the species that could break the crystal. You have succeeded where thousands failed. You introduced true chaos into our perfect systems. And now, Rodriguez asked, his hand still hovering near the weapon's controls. Now, we submit to the inheritors. The predecessors designed us to maintain order until we found a species capable of understanding the value of chaos. Humanity has proven itself to be that species. We offer not surrender, but partnership. Our knowledge of order, combined with your gift for controlled chaos. Elena's console beeped. Sir, I'm detecting changes in their crystal structure. They're adapting, but not in any pattern I can recognize. They're learning from us. The Kryvax representative's form became less rigid, its perfect geometries taking on more organic shapes. We request permission to learn from humanity, to understand how you balance between order and chaos. In return, we offer all the knowledge of the predecessors and our eternal alliance. Rodriguez stood, considering the offer. Humanity had proven itself not by destroying the Kryvax, but by showing them a better way. It was perhaps the most human victory possible. We accept, he said finally, on one condition. No more tests. No more cleansings. The galaxy is too vast for perfect order, and that's exactly how it should be. The Kryvax's form pulsed with acceptance. Agreed. The age of rigid patterns is over. The time has come for a new harmony, one of controlled chaos and evolving order. As the Phoenix's crew began the complex process of establishing formal contact with their former enemies, Rodriguez looked out at the star-filled space before them. Humanity had faced its greatest challenge and emerged victorious not through superior firepower or technology, but through their most fundamental trait, the ability to break patterns, to think differently, to embrace chaos while maintaining just enough order to survive. The war was over, but humanity's real work was just beginning. They would help the Kryvacs evolve beyond their programming, and in doing so, perhaps learn more about their own balance between chaos and order. The galaxy would never be the same, and that was exactly as it should be. "Send word to Earth," Rodriguez ordered. Tell them that humanity just made the universe a little less perfect and infinitely more interesting." The Phoenix's quantum core hummed with a new frequency, adapting to the changed reality around it. In breaking the perfect patterns of the Kryvacs, humanity had forged something entirely new, a future where order and chaos danced together in endless possibility.